Let's take a look at the build team map in late May of 2020. This was just a couple months after the project was founded, and the concept of a build team had just kicked off. Just around 70 teams existed back in late May, with major swaths of the globe being void of an official team. These areas mostly were in lesser developed and less data-packed areas such as Africa and India, but even areas with a lot of data were left without a team, such as the Dakotas in the United States. Now, let's take a look at the build team map in February of 2022. As you can clearly see, many things have changed in the almost 2 years between the first map and this one. The United States has claimed and consolidated its teams. Africa is mostly united under one team, and even places like India and Southeast Asia have their own fully functioning team. But one place is still empty. For both of these maps, the nation of China had remained clear, void of a team to build on. But how could this be? A nation with no shortage of great buildings to build, with over 1 billion people who can in theory be builders. But alas, no users successfully set up a team in mainland China, until incredibly recently. This video will be going over why BTE has taken so long to set up a Chinese team, their repeated efforts to do so, and more. This is Build the Earth Explained, the Chinese Dilemma. First of all, let us talk about the elephant in the room. Just because there isn't a mainland Chinese team doesn't mean that there aren't any Chinese-oriented teams. The lands of Taiwan and Hong Kong/Macau both have teams, and the Hong Kong/Macau team has existed for almost as long as the project itself, with many impressive builds to show for it. Buildings such as the Weah Fortress and the HSBC main building have all been built in-game, to an astonishing quality. These builds are always incredibly high in detail, representing some of the best examples of BTE's proficiency. These teams have made their presence on the international BTE stage, but this isn't what this video is about. Rather, it's the massive landmass nearby, which BTE has left unmanned for years. So why is it so difficult to build in China? If you were to take a look at any location in mainland China, let's take the city of Guangzhou. Taking a look at the general map, it doesn't look so bad. But the real problem arises when you change to the satellite view. Immediately, the general map and the satellite map start conflicting each other. Why is the Guangdong Museum of Art suddenly in the middle of a river? Why is the Lidi Bridge not actually over water? How could this happen? Well, if it is not immediately obvious, the satellite data provided by Google doesn't match with the main geographic data. If you take a look at a border between China and another country, such as the border of China and Vietnam, numerous unusual errors arise that are caused by this mapping distinction. This can also be seen near the border between Hong Kong and China at the Shenzhen Bay Bridge. So what is the reason for these interesting errors? Well, in 1992, the People's Republic of China created the Surveying and Mapping Law of the People's Republic of China, which prevents anyone from creating maps of the PRC without the permission of the government. They say this law is to protect national defense and to promote the nation's development. Today, only 14 companies have permission to fully map mainland China, all of which are Chinese. Then why is it only that the maps you see online from these companies are still wrong? Well, these companies, on top of monopolizing the Chinese mapping industry, also systematically warp their maps, making them into the tilted state we see on Google Maps. Most of the world uses a mapping system called the World Geodetic System 1984. China, on the other hand, uses a different mapping system called the Mars Coordinate System, which is based on the World Geodetic System but has a built-in algorithm that shifts every coordinate so it is just slightly off. How much off, you say? Normally around 50 to 200 meters. And this algorithm doesn't just shift the map in a certain direction, allowing you in theory to adjust the satellite map to line up with the map overlay. No, it systematically differs its points so it is impossible to fix, unless you use the system yourself. If you take a look onto Google Maps China, which uses the Mars Coordinate System, you find that everything lines up perfectly. Along with this, there are other problems that come when trying to recreate China in Minecraft. Another side effect of the surveying and mapping law is that there is no easily accessible terrain data for China, forcing BTE to use an incredibly inaccurate map that can be found in-game. This terrain mixes skyscrapers of hills, cliffs are non-existent, and the OSM-generated roads cut through the mess of hills awkwardly. Similar to other regions of lackluster terrain data, incredible flattening or terraforming has to be done to make building possible. But even with these incredible difficulties, there will still have been teams that have attempted to stake their claim on this land. A total of 4 recorded teams have attempted to recreate China, with varying levels of success. The first mainland Chinese team was the build team BTE Infantry. BTE Infantry was a build team for the city of Shanghai, and was one of the oldest build teams to date. Out of all of the olden Chinese teams, they were by far the most developed, with their own Chinese server, Discord, and semi-functioning user base. But even with this, they only had one published build, that being the Shanghai Oriental Pearl TV Tower. Over time, their team became deeply inactive, being removed from the official map in February 2022. You cannot access their main Discord anymore. The second mainland Chinese team is the startup BTE Beijing, which actually still has an open Discord. A build team startup, for those who do not know, is a region of a team that has yet to be certified by BTE. It was widespread in the first 2 years of BTE, with many teams today starting off as a startup. Looking into their Discord shows up a saddening image. A skeleton of a team, long dead and void of progress. This team never passed the threshold to becoming an official team, but at least started work on a single build. The third team that attempted to build in China was the startup BTE Changsha. This team was an example of a user's dream to start something new, to sadly no avail. This user's name was Lester. Lester first joined BTE around August of 2020, and was an active member on the various chats. He created BTE Changsha in early October, and started to make steps to making a server. He managed to acquire a small 2 GB server, but quickly found out about the problems of a Chinese team. After failing to amass enough builders, he transitioned control of the team to the owner of another startup, BTE Sri Lanka. Then after that, the team was dissolved by the Sri Lankan team just a few weeks later. The final mainland Chinese team is an interesting case, a team called Linjiang plus Forbidden City. As the title suggests, this team claimed the city of Linjiang and the Forbidden City, halfway across China. This team had a vision, and progress on the Forbidden City actually started by a few determined users. But sadly, just like the previous tales, the project fell through and the team died. But this wasn't the end for this team. Because, if you look at the specific build team on the BTE website, you will encounter something completely and utterly different. Something better. On January 23rd, 2022, a user named Pika Nico asked the BTE admins if he, along with some other build team owners, could create a new build team encompassing all of mainland China. Due to the restrictions of mapping China, which BT could fall into, the admins have rejected other attempts to set up a complete Chinese team, only allowing smaller city-state teams instead. Pika Nico, however, with his connections among BT staff, was able to convince the admins to allow a Chinese team. Not before him and other leaders of BTE dove deep into Chinese mapping laws to make entirely sure that this would be legal. After being accepted, Pika Nico, along with .exe and Salmon, contacted the original owner of BTE Linjiang / Forbidden City, who had actually changed their name just a few weeks earlier. With these two parts, the BTE mainland Chinese team was born. Immediately, the new BTOs of BTE mainland China started earnest work on creating this new team. They secured a partnership with Oddblocks Hosting, guaranteeing them a Minecraft server. They amassed enough members for a functioning team by calling upon and unifying the remnants of the previous Chinese teams, drawing all of the to-be builders into one place. And with all of this, finally, the giant landmass of China was filled in on the build team map. After the certification of BTE mainland China, the final empty land in the world had been claimed for a team. From a project first full of empty areas of rogue, ununified builders, we have all made massive progress towards building the Earth. China is an interesting place. A nation full of impressive landmarks, buildings, and views, home to over 1 billion people. But due to shortcomings of terrain data and members, China has been left empty in BTE for almost 2 years. It took the collective might of multiple deceased build teams and the vision of a few users to make this complex place buildable. BTE mainland China has massive potential. Let us just hope it can push through the challenges in China and become a prosperous build team. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this one. Links to BTE Mainland China's and Central BTE's Discord and socials are in the description, and until next time, see you later.